Just remind you of today's topic, which is social, cultural, and political studies in Germany. Really interesting. I also come with this background, so I will be equally listening to those presentations as you are, and will probably have also some questions. First guest, Matthias Klemm, who will be talking about human rights studies in politics, law, and society from 𝘗𝘓 University of Applied Science. Some facts about the program, and the university location is on the map, and then I stop my screen share and hand it over to Professor.
Well, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to say a little bit about our master program, MARS, that is Human Rights Studies in Politics, Law, and Society. And and we can share a presentation later on. So 𝘗𝘓 is situated, as you did see it on the map, in the middle of Germany. It's a rather small town with about like 70,000 inhabitants, and a University of Applied Science with a Department of Social and Cultural Studies. And the MARS program is one of our two social science study programs in 𝘗𝘓. It is an English study program, of course, that's why we're here, basically. And the key question of our study program is, or let's say the main topic of our study program in the MARS program is are human rights, obviously. So, but the specific approach to this topic of human rights in 𝘗𝘓 is basically a social scientific one. That is, we're not only asking whether there are human rights, because everybody is always talking about those human rights, but also this kind of idea of finding out why these kinds of human rights are some sort of counterfactual ideas, which basically means that we would always say that every individual has his human dignity, but in practice, this is often not the case. So in many instances, and so this kind of program is both situated in researching about ways to approve or improve human rights regulations around the globe or on an international scale, but also on these questions of differences in understanding what human rights are basically about. So, and why they are not applied at many places, obviously. So that is maybe the key question we follow in this kind of study program, which then consists out of more or less 4 subjects, which is, on the one hand, we have a department with sociological approaches, and which are applied to the study program. Then it's about political science, and human rights, like international institutions, like the United Nations and so on. We have communication theory, of course, and communication studies with respect to human rights and questions of, for example, digitalization. And of course, we also have law professors who deal with the history and the institutionalization of the human rights regime worldwide. So that is like our approach, like 4 subjects dealing with this kind of questions of the implementation and development of human rights regimes and cultures around the globe. Let me also add that the study program is, as every study program in Germany, or consists out of different kinds of modules you have to study. So in our case, these modules are always this kind of interdisciplinary one. So if you want to study at our place, you would also always have topics, and you will approach those topics from different perspectives of different types of scientific questions, like, for example, law questions, and also political or sociological questions, as an example. The study program in total would take 2 years if you want to study it. So we will start with this kind of basic ideas and histories of human rights. Of course, in the first semester, you will also start with methodical and methodological questions of how to scientifically do research in this kind of areas. And then we will proceed to specialized areas. So you can decide if you study with us whether you want to have you want to focus more on human rights and work and the work area in the broader sense, or you want to focus on human rights and the digital sphere, that is an area of specialization, or the context of human rights and migration would be the third possibility to specialize yourself in the third term when you come to Fuller. You will have to do an internship in Fuller and not necessarily in Fuller, but as a part of the study program, which will last 10 weeks. And you would also have some forms of excursions. And what we are strongly in at the moment is so-called Models United Nations in different countries. You will have our current course just went to Geneva, to the United Nations there, in the sense of an excursion. So that's what you would do. And in the fourth semester, of course, you will end the study program with a master thesis. So that's very roughly what's going on in this kind of study program. I'd like to add 2 more points to our Fulda experience. So on the one hand, we have a lot of research support at our department, which is some kind of research centers, which one is called Center for Intercultural and European Studies. We have also a graduate school at Fulda, so for those people who would want to maybe go further in studying and making their PhD, so that is possible, of course, at our place. So there's quite a good infrastructure here, if you're interested in this kind of study program. And the last point I'd like to make when talking about studying Mars in Fulda is that we are now more or less in the 3rd year in this English study program, when it is an English study program. And since then, our current program has quite a lot of students at the moment studying the Mars program. And it's really an international group of people. So our students at our department in total are from like 43 countries. We just counted that. So it's really in itself an international environment here in Fulda, actually. So if you want to study things which are about international questions, globalization, human rights, then you will study it in an environment which is truly also in itself international. So that's something we really appreciate, especially me, actually, as being someone who is also doing courses there and also doing research about these topics. So I guess for the moment, that would be the most important information for a study program. You can have some further information. I will send it to you, and you can have it. But in fact, I have a new laptop, and my laptop is not doing what I wanted to do. So sorry for that. So that's it, basically.
No worries. Thank you very much for the details. Now we have another guest from Fulda University of Applied Science. This is 𝘱𝘢𝘕𝑑𝘬𝘳, who will talk about the bachelor's level program.
Very much. Now I can see all the menu here to share my screen. Okay, I have some more screens, so I will look at my presentation here. So I will not always look directly into the camera. Yeah, thank you very much for the invitation. And yeah, I'm the second colleague here from the Department of Social and Cultural Studies at Fulda University, and I will present now to you the bachelor's program. And all our programs are in a way related to each other around the topics that all of the colleagues here at University of Fulda share. And this program, bachelor program, is now starting with an English track in this winter term. So the program is running for several years now, and there was a lot of development inside the program structure and all the topics that it's about. But now we start in winter semester, we start with an English track. That means students on the one hand with a German background and German language skills, and also international students. So I would say a bit similar to the master's program, we will also have a really unique and international student group. Yeah, Social Sciences for Intercultural Relations is the name, and all of our programs, they have like a bit like shortened acronyms. We call it BASE, Bachelor of Arts, Sozialwissenschaften, Interkulturelle Beziehungen in German. And yeah, as I said, it's a Bachelor of Arts with a focus on intercultural relations or a specialization. And that's also within the German sphere of study programs, it's still really unique to have a social science bachelor with an intercultural focus. And yeah, what are other criteria of the program is that we have high student mobility through all the semesters, and also high mobility of students that want to go abroad. So we have many scholarships and programs like Erasmus program, for example, within Europe. So it's really easy for students if they want to spend 1 or 2 semesters abroad. And also internships. There is one internship between the 4th and 5th semester. I later show you a bit more about it. And also students, they raise like the rate of going out of Germany and also doing their internships abroad. Yeah, we still have, and we will have more international student body. Yeah, we have many interactive, practice-orientated course and seminars. Yeah, it's a University of Applied Sciences, so it's it's within the university. That also many experts from outside university doing lectures here, or as my colleague Professor Clem mentioned, we have excursions where students go like for 1 or 2 weeks, sometimes abroad, but also in Germany, to see how people work on the job, which kind of different organizations are there working in this broad variety of intercultural topics, I would say. Yeah, and the students, we want to enable them for critical analysis in general of social phenomena. It's also an interdisciplinary program, and the disciplines we have here is like sociology and the basis or foundations of sociology within the first semesters, and then it's more going to migration, around topics of migration, around topics of work. Then we have political science. It's the same. In the first semesters, we have the foundations, and then it's more related to political migration policies and topics around migration, for example. Then we have law, a basis of law in the first 2 semesters, and then a part of international law later on. And then we have also the cultural studies from the sphere of cultural studies, like the communication science and intercultural communication. And yeah, I would say like guiding it is also foreign language acquisition. So we want to enable the students to get more language skills in a way, and also if they want to work abroad or if they want to work in an international environment, it's absolutely necessary to have good language skills. So in the first semesters, the students have to choose different languages. Later on, they can continue if they want to. Shortly, I will show you the curriculum. This is what it's about. You see the 6 semesters here. And as I said, in the first 2 semesters, you have all the foundations, sociology, law, methods of empirical social science research, also in the first 2 semesters, as the basis of your work in a way, and foreign languages, as I said. And then we go on in the 3rd semester, you see 3 modules: globalization and sustainable development, migration and diversity, and labor and interculturality in organizations. And these 3 modules, there you get your foundations. And in the 5th semester, as you can see, these green little boxes, you then have to choose like a study focus or specialization. So in the 3rd, you get your foundations. And after the 4th semester, also, as you see in the lecture-free period in the 4th semester, there's the internship. And afterwards, you choose your study focus. And yeah, sometimes then the students write papers, and maybe later on they go on with topics within their bachelor thesis in the 6th semester. Yeah, as I mentioned, we have like this red box. This is would be, from our perspective, the best semester to do a semester abroad. It's a 4th semester, so you have enough time to prepare it, to apply for scholarships and stuff like that. And then in the 4th semester, if you want to, you can study abroad. Yeah, and as I said, we start with an English track in the winter term, and we will see how many of the international students are also willing to go abroad if they just study abroad within Germany. But it is definitely possible. There are a lot of scholarships and possibilities. So if you want to do it, you can do it. I just want to show you some examples of courses. What is it all about? I mentioned the foundations in the 1st semesters, but then around this intercultural focus of the study program, we have some more specialized courses. For example, languages of the world in comparison is one of these. Transnational migration, language, knowledge, power, media, linguistic, discourse analysis. This comes more from the communication science, from memes to reels, digital scapes, perspectives on gender in the Middle East. And you see, these are also interdisciplinary, sometimes interdisciplinary courses with team teaching, sometimes also so professors from different departments, for example, teach together. And yeah, the last one you see here, migration science field trip to Jordan. This was, sadly, it was canceled last year because of the broke out of the conflict in Israel and Gaza. So it is in a way postponed, but normally we go every a few semesters. We do also field trips and excursions, as I mentioned before. Yeah, for whom could this program be? This is from our perspective. Yeah, of course, people who want to understand global social and political context. So if you have bring from your school education background or private, you have interest in topics like this program could be really for you. Yeah, also if you would like to acquire basic social science knowledge and social science skills. Of course, if you're interested in learning foreign languages, so that's also a thing we would recommend. If you come from outside Germany, of course, and studying at our university, you can study the program completely in English, but we really recommend to learn German because if you see a perspective to stay in Germany, to work in Germany, it's necessary to have basic German language skills for everyday life and so on. So we really recommend to learn German, but also other foreign languages, as I said before. Of course, if you're interested in working in intercultural fields and spheres, and if you want to work in it competently or creatively also, if you want to have really skills to shape these contexts. And if you would like to develop a sharpened view on interculturality, on topics of migration, and also on topics of diversity. I don't want to mention all of these, but these are career opportunities that we can see from our alumni. So students who finished our program. This could be fields of work where our alumni have their jobs, like intercultural education or non-formal education, I would say, mostly like youth and adult education, mostly around political topics. Can also be NGOs, migration and refugee work is a lot of, there is mostly counseling work, what people do. Media and public relations is possible, business, international organizations, cultural management. And as Professor Klemm also mentioned, of course, you can go on with a master's program at our department, as he showed to us, the MAS program, or the other one is 𝘱𝑢𝑙𝑠. It's another master's program. You can also do the PhD at our department. Application process. You can find it all online. I only want to say you need English B2 level. To apply for it, you need, of course, a general higher education entrance qualification. And first, for internationals, you have to apply via UniAssist, and then UniAssist forwards the applications to the universities. So it takes time. So we recommend to do it latest by July. You can do it, as you see, the deadline is the 30th of September. It's really late because 2 weeks later the semester is starting. But yeah, July is fine if you need visa or anything else, or find accommodation, but you can apply until 30th of September. These are my contact details. You can also find them on my German University site. And so this is it. This was my presentation. Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you very much for the details. I will follow up with the UniAssist link, and then maybe also Hochschulkompass, or yeah, to find the Studienkolleg if somebody needs in this case. All right, I was trying to get another speaker, the fourth one, but there is, I think, a technical problem with her. However, I'm happy to introduce our third speaker today, Professor Dr. 𝘱𝘢𝘳𝘵, who will talk about Master in Philosophy, Politics, and Economics. Another Your Potential University is visible on the map, and the program facts are on the slide. So then I still mute myself and hand over to Professor.
Okay, for the time being, now I should be able to share my screen. Can you see it? Okay, a warm welcome from my side. My name is 𝘱𝘢𝘳𝘵, 𝘗𝘀𝑡𝑒𝑟𝑑𝑡𝑒 University. 𝘗𝘀𝑡𝑒𝑟𝑑𝑡𝑒 University is a quite specific university in the German landscape of higher education. It is Germany's oldest private university, which was set up in the 1980s as a reform project. Witten wants to do things different than our state universities, and as we hope better. 𝘱𝘢𝘳𝑡𝑒𝑟𝑑𝑡𝑒 is a pioneer in PPE in Germany, but also in continental Europe. We started with a PPE program, a bachelor program in 2011, and this master's program, which is entirely international, and the share of international students is about 60 to 70% in this program. It is, of course, entirely in English, and we started it 10 years ago in 2014 and refer to it as the real-world PPE. Now, first question, why studying PPE? Well, our core argument is to say, if you look at the real-world challenges of the 21st century, take the COVID pandemic, take climate change, take mass migration, then what all these challenges have in common is that they do not care about the boundaries between academic disciplines. They touch upon the political systems, the economic systems, and they touch upon ethics, which is the field of philosophy. And so in order to understand these problems and to develop solutions, we need to understand all these aspects of these challenges. Now, if we take a look into the way academia is organized today, what we see is an extremely deep level of the division of labor between the different disciplines. So scientists nowadays tend to sit in their disciplinary tunnels. They speak their own language, they have their own methods, and they find it utterly difficult to communicate across the borders of the disciplines. And this prevents scientists to understand or to get a larger picture of the challenges we face in the 21st century, and that prevents politics from developing solutions. So we argue that what we urgently need are experts in interdisciplinarity, experts who are able to think together what belongs together in reality, and that's what our program is aiming at. Now, hopefully, I have already convinced you that studying PPE is a good idea. But what this event is really about is to convince you to study it at Witten. And my main arguments here are, if you study a standard PPE program, what often happens is it's offered by 3 faculties: philosophy, politics, economics. And you will be put in these standard classes in economics, in political science, in philosophy. And then there are just a few number of seminars that combine the disciplines. Now, if you ask a question about the philosophical background of neoclassical economics in a standard economics class, everybody will be annoyed by you, including the professor, because they don't understand the question. Now, this is different at Witten. In Witten, there is no such a thing as a faculty of political science or philosophy or economics. There's a PPE department, and our program is tailor-made for connecting the 3 disciplines. So we call this a horizontal structure. Almost all courses are not only disciplinary, but they contain interdisciplinary elements. They try to build bridges to the insights of the other 2 disciplines. And then we have, I said, that Witten was started as a reform project in the German landscape of higher education. We have a unique didactics. It means we have very small classes. We do not have lectures. We only have seminars in which we usually discuss original research literature. So I'm hardly using textbooks in my teaching, and professors and students form a real community. We refer to our students as entrepreneurs of their own studies. So you enjoy a maximum freedom. We have a major say about the content of seminars. I'll come back to that. And students are encouraged to engage in their own research. We have a module that we call independent studies, and that means a student picks a topic and writes a research paper about it. In one case, it's not very long ago, in 21, a colleague and I published a paper together with a PPE student. He did excellent field work in Mozambique, and we were able to jointly put together a paper that we published in a high-ranked institutional economics seminar, in a high-ranked institutional economics journal. And this is why this is possible because at Witten, professors and students form a real community. We will see our students for a beer in a Witten bar tonight. I skipped this slide. Certainly, you are interested in employment opportunities. To be very honest, that was a small question mark in 2014, 10 years ago, when we set up this program. What the hell will our graduates be doing? We have changed this to an exclamation mark by now because our experience shows that our graduates do not have difficulties to find good jobs. They have no difficulties to find good jobs also in the sense that they are able to find jobs where they think they are able to do meaningful things. We have graduates in politics, in international NGOs and international organizations, in political and economic consulting, in international management. I have a few examples here. So our internationalization manager at 𝘱𝘱𝘕𝘱𝘱 is an alumna. We have an advisor to the World Bank in Uruguay. We have a number of PhD students. We have people who set up their own startups. We have people working in digital strategy consulting. From management to politics to academia, we argue that anything is possible with PPE. Here is the structure of the program. One thing is extremely important for you. this program is open to graduates from all kinds of bachelor programs. So we have people with a bachelor in theater science. We have beginners who come from engineering backgrounds, and what we do is we put you in mandatory introductory classes, on the one hand in methods, philosophy of science, qualitative and quantitative methods with a focus on applied econometrics. And then you have introductory courses into the 3 disciplines like philosophy 1 and 2, politics 1 and 2, economics 1 and 2. You have the so-called Studium Fundamentale, which is a specific Witten thing, where you do things that go beyond the content of your own studies. It's like a studies general. So you can do additional classes in philosophy if you like. You can have seminars on modern American literature, or you can sing in the university choir. All this goes into the STUFU. As typical in Witten, you have you enjoy big freedom. So we have 40 ECTS with elective modules. We recommend our students, but we do not force them to do this. We recommend our students to pick a major, which means that they make 50% of their electives, 20 ECTS, in one of the disciplines, either economics or politics or society. We also have an interdisciplinary major, which is the philosophy, politics, and economics of development. We have introduced this relatively recently because we have many students from the Global South who are interested in the problem of development. Now, what's included in each major is a so-called, as I said, independent study and an independent project. In both cases, you pick a topic, you either deal with it more on the practical side, that would be an independent project, or more on the theoretical scientific side, this would be an independent study. You write a paper under the one-to-one supervision of an individual professor. And I can assure you that this is possible only at Witten-Herdecke. Previously to Witten, I was teaching at the University of Hamburg. It would not have been possible to engage in one-to-one supervision of master students simply because there are too many students. We also have very important modules like PPE in practice, which are usually co-taught with practitioners, where we deal explicitly with the question, how does PPE work in practice? The co-teachers are often our alumni. And we have current issues. The current issues seminars are seminars that are empty shells, and we very regularly meet with our students, and together with our students decide what will be offered in these current issues of economics, politics, or philosophy. Yeah, then of course there's the master thesis. I think I do not need to go into that. You know what a master thesis is. Tuition fees. That of course is an important topic at a private university. The total tuition fees for the PPE MA program are 22,440 euro. Sounds like a lot, but 2 things are really important here. First of all, Witten has developed a unique socially inclusive payment scheme, the so-called inverse contract between student generations. Well, I could talk about that for very long. What it boils down to is that if you want to study with us, you can do so independently from your social background. You can study now free of charge, and you pay back later a certain percentage of your income once you have an income, and in case you earn more than you need to sustain your life. And you find more informations under this link here. This whole scheme is autonomously run by our students, by our so-called Studierendengesellschaft, by the community of students. So the take-home message is you can study with us free of charge as at a German state university. The difference is that you pay back dependently on your income. If you earn little, you pay back less. If you earn more, you pay back a little more. So this is based on solidarity. What's also very important is that, and I think we are the first, the only private university in the world who offers that, you do not pay per month or semester at 𝘱𝘕𝘓𝑚𝑒𝑟𝑔𝑒. You just pay for the total program. So if it takes you slightly longer, for example, because you need to work besides to make ends meet, that does not mean that you will pay more for the program. Right, how to apply? You apply through our application system 𝘈𝘬. We then have a pre-selection of the applications by the admission committee, which basically consists of me. And if you get through that, we would invite you for an admission seminar, which means that we invite you for a whole day. If you come from the European Union, we invite you to come to Witten in person. If you apply from further away, we would have an online admission seminar, and we will do interviews with you. And what we do in this interview is to figure out whether we think that you would enrich our university community, and if we expect you to benefit from studying PPE with us. We do not that much look at your grades and how brilliant you are. What we are looking at is mainly your personality, because that's, again, an important promise that we make at our Reform University 𝘱𝘕𝘓𝑚𝑒𝑟𝑔𝑒, that we promise you to support you in your intellectual growth, but also in your growth as a personality. So the motto of our university is "Here we grow," which also means we grow as persons and we grow as a community of students and academic teachers. Here's the program at a glance. What's really important: 𝘱𝘕𝘓𝑚𝑒𝑟𝑔𝑒 is a small university, and we have relatively few students to look for. So if you have a question after the seminar, or I did not answer a question you have, just drop me an email. We can always meet for an individual Zoom meeting and discuss all questions you might have. Thank you very much for your attention. I'm looking forward to looking at your questions.
Thank you very much for a very interesting presentation. I think especially the last part will provoke some questions about financing your studies. This is usually how it happens. Now, thank you very much, Mariana, for being here. I know there were some technical things, and yeah, thanks for still trying and joining us, because you right now cannot see it, but we even got a question from Akanksha, I guess, who wanted to listen to your presentation specifically. Therefore, I'm happy that you are here. Now I will share my screen, introduce you once again, Mariana Florio. Thank you for your participation. She will be talking about Mastering of International Affairs, Hertie School location, and the program facts, as always, are on the slide. Then I stop the screen share and give it over to Mariana when you're ready.
Thank you, Nino. Thanks for having me here. We had some technical issues, but it worked even in the last minute. And as Nina already mentioned, I'm going to talk about the Master of International Affairs and a bit of the 𝘱𝘧 School. So let me share my presentation. This one, I'm not sure if you can see it. Should be from the beginning now. Okay, I think you can see it. Let's start. So we are the 𝘱𝘧 School, and just a little bit about us. So we are a postgraduate university based in Berlin. So we only have master's and postdoctoral degrees, and we were founded in 2003. We are a relatively small university because we are very focused on policy issues, international affairs, and data science. And we are very well known from our interdisciplinary, international, and intersectional approach, which you would see a little bit in our curriculum. Today only about the MIA, but you will get a little bit of a sense there. So we have around 800 students per year. Of course, then our alumni network always grows from that. And currently a lot of PhD researchers and 35 faculty. So as I mentioned, we are only master's and doctoral school. We have at the moment 4 master's program, the Master of Public Policy, which was our first master's inaugurated in 2003 and 5. The Master of International Affairs, which started at this 𝘱𝘧 School in 2015, the Master of Data Science for Public Policy, our newest one, and the Executive Master for Public Administration. All of the masters are 2 years apart from the Executive Master, but today we're focusing on the International Affairs one. So what is the MIA? Who is it for? What will you learn? So the MIA is a 2-year program. Oh my God, something happened here. But I think it's fine. So the MIA is a 2-year program completely in English. The 𝘱𝘧 School is completely in English, although we are based in Berlin. The idea is that we are a very international school. And you have 3 concentration courses in that. I'm going to mention those a little bit later. But what will you learn there? Who is it for? So the MIA is for people interested in policy issues. We are a policy school, but on the cross-border level, on the international level. Of course, it can still communicate and have something to do with the national level and the local, even regional level, but we are more focused on cross-border challenges of today and tomorrow. And that can be in so many atmospheres. We are talking about international security, environmental issues that do not see borders as we see in nature. We are talking about social and economic issues as well when we think about the European Union, for example. So the topics are they're very plural, but the most important is that there's this view of the policy issues on the international level. So what people do after they graduate, we see a lot of demand and an increasing demand for political consultancy, political risk consultancies, but also a lot of our MIA students, they go to third sectors, they go to state organizations like the 𝘗𝘢𝑇𝑠, the German International Cooperation Agency. Also, they go a lot to Brussels, to the bubble there. So there's a wide range of careers possible. These are just a few that we see very popular and high in demand. So looking a little bit on our curriculum, as I said, it's 2 years divided in 4 semesters. The first year is the year that is less flexible because you have most of your mandatory courses, especially the first semester. So in the first semester, you're going to have international law, global politics, economics, and statistics 1. And then at the end of your first semester, you have to choose your concentration path. Because in the second semester, you're going to start having classes on that. I'm going to show the concentrations in a second, but that's the idea. So you go into your second semester, start focusing more on your concentrations. You still have advanced economics and statistics or statistics. And you also have international negotiation. We say it here with a flavor because it has different topics and you should choose the one that speaks most closely to your heart and your ambitions. And as I mentioned, it could be environmental, economic, social issues. We always have a few topics on that. And the 2 courses in brown that you see in the first year, Skills 1 and Skills 2, are workshops that we have in 1 weekend, 1 weekend in semester 1, 1 weekend in semester 2. And they are interpersonal skills workshops. So the idea is that you kind of look inside yourself, see what is missing in your skill set, and use the workshops to kind of fill in the gap. So a few examples of workshops that we have are, for example, more technical things such as advanced Excel, programming in R, but we also have things such as political communication, policy writing, how to write policy briefs. We even have one that is podcasting. So it's very plural, the offerings, but you should look into your skill set and see what you're missing and try to fill in the gaps with that. So after the second semester, you go into your summer break, but you have the summer internship. It is mandatory. It has to be, usually it's around 3 months, so June, July, and August, and then you come back to the 𝘱𝘀 school in September to start your second year. So the second year is very flexible. It's where you have flexibility to choose and really design your master's towards your goals and where you would like to work and kind of fit that, because you have electives from your concentrations, but you also have electives from your portfolio. And this means that you can take classes not only from the MIA portfolio, but also from our public policy course and from our data science course. The data science course might have a few criteria because of programming and things like that, but usually students know ahead of time what criteria they must fulfill. But this gives you freedom to kind of also fill in the gaps of skills that you might be missing, or even topics that you would like to analyze deeper and maybe specialize on. At the end of the first semester, you should start thinking about your master thesis, because on your fourth semester and last, you're mainly focusing on your master thesis. You have the colloquium at the 𝘱𝘀 school is with your supervisor and everybody that is being supervised by him. It's usually a small crowd, maybe 5, 6 people, even sometimes 3. But the idea is that you don't feel alone and left out in the master thesis process. It can be a very demanding and intense process in general. So the idea is of the colloquium is that you're constantly in touch with your supervisor, but also with your peers, and you're exchanging with them maybe ideas. Sometimes everybody's struggling in similar things, so the idea is that you exchange with them and maybe get inspiration, get creative with that, or just calm yourself knowing that people are also struggling, which is very important. So the concentrations. As I mentioned, there are 3 in the Master of Internationals program, and we have international security, European governance, and human rights. So international security, you would have, for example, these are just example courses, war, peace and strategy, and conflict and violence. In the European governance one, you would have EU law and governance, the EU globalization and the state, and in human rights and global governance, you could also have human rights and global ethics. So they're very different between each other. They're very topic oriented. It doesn't mean that they also don't interact with each other. I would say the policy world interacts with each other in many avenues in different ways. They do, but they're very topic focused, and I think it's easier to kind of decide which one you would like to follow at the end of the first semester. So you don't need to choose it beforehand. You have the full first semester to talk with other students, to start your studies and see where you would like things to take you. So a little bit of examples of what our students are writing in their thesis in the International Affairs Masters is, for example, understanding foreign policy decision-making in Iran, beyond the FARC and towards sustainable peace in Colombia. So a lot of security issues, a new destabilizing factor, how maliciously used artificial intelligence systems can affect political stability in electoral autocracies. I would say that at the 𝘱𝘀 school, we are talking a lot about the intersection of data science and policymaking. That's why we also have the data science for public policy masters, but even students from other masters are very interested in that, especially when we talk about international security. I know that our research, they're talking a lot about that, also the role of private companies in technology companies in warfare at the moment. And another example is the MIF and the good life, recoupling markets and morality, so an economic aspect of the MIA course. So these are just a few topics that our students are investigating. So our alumni, after you're done, where did they go? As I said, there's multiple places, careers that students go. The MIA is a very versatile master's program because it gives you this very practical oriented approach to international affairs. So you could go and be a consultant or work with policy or in the ministries, but you could also maybe go to research if it's something that you would like. So we have students in the European Commission. We also have students in consultancies, in institutes for research, for example, and also in the ministries in Germany. We are down the street from the ministries in Berlin, so we have a very close connection to the ministries through alumni, but also through them coming to the 𝘱𝘪𝘵 school, sometimes to give a lecture, sometimes to just participate in an event, or do even courses. We have executive education, and they also do courses there, for example. Just a little bit about career at the 𝘱𝘪𝘵 school and what we can do. So we are very practically oriented, and it's important for us that students are able to apply the knowledge that they receive in the classroom, in the real world, outside of it. So we have a career development team that can help you in your first and your second year. They have career workshops. We have a careers fair that is very big. I think this year we had over 50 companies coming, and it's always in February. We have mentoring programs. We have skills workshops apart from the ones that you have to do in the curriculum. They can do one-on-one coaching, CV checks if you're applying to something and you want to make sure that your CV is in the best light possible. And in between the first and the second year, you do your internship. We also support you in finding an internship. We have a database that they put and update with current openings. And there's also the possibility of doing a professional year. Gonna mention this in a second. And then in the second year, we have support with the master thesis, again, workshops, and we have a platform that we put the profiles of our students, so it's also easy if a company is looking for you to see your profile. The professional year, I would like to mention that I think this is something very unique from us, from our school. So the professional year is basically a gap year that you take between your first and your second year to work. The idea is that students that want more work experience before they graduate, they have this opportunity. You don't pay any tuition in that time. The requirement is that it is something related to your study field, so it has to be related to international affairs, and it has to be between 9 and 14 months, and you have to have a contract. International students can do it with no problem. There's no issues with the visa, and these are just a few places that our students often go to. I would say a big name for us is always the 𝘗𝑢𝑡𝑧, the German International Cooperation Agency. They always take students from the 𝘱𝘪𝘵 school for the professional year. Of course, there's always the selection process. The student has to apply themselves. We do not have guarantee spots, for example, but just these are places that we know usually take our students. So the 𝘗𝑢𝑡𝑧 is one, the Federal Ministry of Labor and Social Affairs. 𝘗𝘢𝘪𝘵𝑩, there is a consultancy focused on sustainability and energy transition, and they usually work for the government, so also very interesting. And then more common places like McKinsey and the Big Four consultancies, for example. But also a lot of the students manage places at EU commissions or even abroad. You don't have to be in Germany. You don't have to stay in Europe. You can do your professional year abroad. You just have to check that there is no problems with your visa in the place that you're going. But if you have a good spot, we have students that go abroad. Sometimes they even go back to their home countries just to get more experience if they want to come back. So you can do it anywhere you want, basically. And a little bit about the careers. As I mentioned, it's a very versatile program. So, and we also see that in the careers that our students usually follow. So it's quite balanced. There is a higher percentage of students going to the private sector. But we have also many people going to public sector, and that can be national and international bodies, for example, institutions, I'm sorry. And the third section, NGOs and think tanks are very big with our students. Just a little bit about what else we have at the 𝘱𝘪𝘵 school in terms of research. We have 5 research centers. It's the international security, the digital governance, fundamental rights, sustainability, and European governance research centers. They have also smaller research topics within them, but these are just the big focal groups that we focus at the 𝘱𝘧 School. And all of the quantitative research is supported by our data science lab. I would say one of the strong points of the 𝘱𝘧 School is quantitative research for public policy, social policy. We are very big at that. So if it's something that you're interested, I would definitely check out the research centers. They have really interesting research and events. If you're in Berlin, we're constantly doing events, and it's a great way of meeting people, making some network as well. So the final part of my presentation, how to apply. Our application is completely online. There's no fee for that. And to apply, you just need to submit your curriculum, your CV, a letter of motivation, all of your academic transcripts of a bachelor's level. If you also did a master's, then we also require a master's, but what I mean is university level. And then English proficient certificate, we accept the most common ones, TOEFL, Cambridge, IELTS, and we also accept the Duolingo one. You can find all of this information in our frequently asked questions page. And tuition and financing your studies. So we are a private and not-for-profit university, but our tuition is 18,250 per year. And we have a whole student funding office just dedicated to supporting students in finding funding. We understand that it's a big price, especially in Germany. But then we also offer a few financing programs that we hope can help you make the move to Berlin. So a few things that we offer are full scholarships and partial scholarships. So we have a lot of full scholarships. We have a very strong program of full scholarships. They are very competitive and they are topic-based, meaning you have to choose one topic that calls your attention the most and apply. Usually you have to write an essay about it. We pre-select a few people and then we have an interview round with the pre-selected people. And from that we choose who is gonna be awarded the full scholarships. We had this year scholarships in digital governance, in human rights, international security, for example, just a few. Usually the topics, they don't vary that much, but they can vary slightly. And we also have partial scholarships that we give out even more. It's a very strong program. The partial scholarships cover between 10 and 50% of tuition, and around 50% of our students receive a partial scholarship. So we have, as I said, a strong scholarship program. And then our student funding office can help you find external funding. A lot of students, they combine a partial scholarship from the 𝘱𝘧 School with external funding, and some of them can have support from their families or personal savings. It's always a case-by-case matter, but these are just a few avenues that the students have taken. And why study here? We are a very international school. In the MIA, we see a lot of students from Germany, EU countries, and more from the US and Canada, Latin America, and India. And I would say this really enriches the experience at the school. The debate in the classroom and the experience that each student brings from their own home country really enriches the debate. It brings us forward, and it's really something that we believe. We want to be an international school. And also our partners. We have a very big network of partners for dual degrees and exchanges. These are just a few names, like the London School, the Bocconi, Sciences Po in Paris, Manx School, Columbia in the US, and Tokyo. These are just a few names, but in terms of exchange, we have even more. So, and Berlin. How could I forget Berlin? Berlin is itself already a reason to study here. For some people, other people might find Berlin too big or too hectic, but we are in the heart of the policy making in Germany, and that really helps you with networking, going to events, opportunities, also for jobs and student jobs as well. But with that, I finished my presentation. I hope you could get some useful information there. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. Here is my email address. I'll leave it for 20 seconds if anyone needs, but maybe later you can also just put it in the chat. And that's it. I'm gonna stop sharing my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mariana, for the presentation. If you wish also to follow up with attendees or everybody who registered, you're welcome to share with me the presentation afterwards, and then I can distribute it over. Now, since first of all, thank you, dear guests and professors, for having this vivid discussion in Q&A in written form. I see 18 answered questions. Some of them are still open. So don't be surprised if I repeat your questions that were already answered, because they are sent privately and not everybody sees them. So it could be probably interesting for others to voice them once again. Then let me start with Professor 𝘱𝘓. First question that the minute you started came was, what is the future of this degree holders? Can a prospective diplomat ambassadors look forward for this? And maybe I could also combine it with a second question, which was answered by Mr. Weidemann about the focus of research. Is it more quantitative or qualitative research-oriented program? And yeah, how is the distributor? Thank you.
Okay, thanks for the question. So starting with the second one, we traditionally have a strong stance in Fulda on qualitative type of research, but I also have to add that we try, to interconnect different kinds of methodical approaches. So, for example, if you read legal texts, this is a different kind of dealing with words than reading it from a more political or scientific perspective. So we have to combine, for example, legal methods or methods from law with methods from science. So that's quite an interesting stuff, actually, I have to say. So we also offer courses in quantitative methods, but overall the focus is on the qualitative study thing. So if you would go through the program and it's about, for example, writing human rights reports, then you would also need quantitative things and presentations, so on. But that is then further part of the specialization of the program. I'm not sure to answer the question whether you can be an ambassador at the end of the day. I think so. We had so many types of professional positions throughout the presentation, so I could repeat them all, right? So that's basically it. So you can go to companies who are looking for people who deal with human rights issues. So that's quite interesting area with new regulations in private business with respect to human rights. Of course, you can go into political fields. You can go on in scientific endeavors, or in the kind of field of more non-governmental stuff. So the people are quite diverse in where they come from and what they do afterwards. So that's just simply amazing. But I would have to look whether we already had an ambassador. I'm not sure. So is that fine with the answer? So basically, okay.
Yeah, sure. One last question is about the number of places you have at the program. How many? So I recently graduated from journalism, mass communication with 58 marks. Can I get admission? Of course, we don't know based only on this. But the second part is how many seats for the international students?
Yes, I think this was in the line twice. So I said that we have some journalists or bachelor journalists, and also people who also already worked in journalism, and then they come here to enrich the perspectives. So yes, journalism and mass communication would qualify for our mass program. And we don't distinguish between, so we don't have seats for internationals as opposed to nationals. So in fact, the vast majority of our students are in the mass programs are internationals. And at the moment, this is an open program. So who is interested in it and wants to apply is also able. And if the requirements are met, which are, you have a certain kind of bachelor background, you have to have that. It is either from law or from social sciences, and you have the language requirements, and you write us a letter of motivation, which we really love to read. Then you can join the program.
Great, thank you so much. And for the letter of motivation, the applicants pay attention to that. Don't write it in one day. you need to really put effort in that, so that
I would also recommend, if you apply for more than one program, then look at the title. So change the university there. Okay, it's sometimes a funny thing.
yeah. All right. Then I move to Mr. Weidemann, who already answered all the questions, but let me briefly ask two of them. First was about the age. Is it problematic if somebody is not 18, has applying right away from high school? And the second one, which came, is it possible, which came before the webinar started, is it possible to do a transfer? So in case a person did 1 year of bachelor at home country, to avoid 𝘗𝘪𝘵𝘀𝘕𝑒𝑛𝑐𝑜𝑙𝑒𝑔𝑒, will the credit points be also recognized in case they are relevant at your study program?
Yeah, I would say to the first question I already answered. To me, it's, and to all through our department, is no problem if someone is at the beginning of the 20s, because as I said, most of the students are within their 20s, and in the bachelor's Basel program, I can say for the German ones, many of them, they did, like, for example, like after they finished school, they were 1 year abroad or traveling or stuff like that, or working a bit, earning some money. So many are within their 20s, some are older, some are younger, but I would say the majority is within their 20s. The other question, can you repeat it shortly? What was the second question?
So since it's a bachelor program, not everybody can directly apply, and many of them need to do a 𝘗𝘪𝘵𝘀𝑗𝑒𝑛_collecte. So one of the ways of avoiding is to do 1 year of bachelors of the same field at home countries. And the question was, can they then?
Yeah, of course. If it's in a way equivalent to the modules we have on all the topics and the disciplines, it can be accepted, of course. So this is what people normally discuss with me. I have a look at that, and I try to get more information, and then also to professors, and then if it fits, it can be accepted.
Great, thank you. Then Professor Zweinet, who also with Benjamin answered the questions, but let me repeat at least two of them. One was about the strong emphasis on economics. Will it be a problem for newcomers based on your experience? And I also saw, about the prerequisites for electives. Maybe if they are fully available, can they select any elective, or do they need to have some prerequisites?
Yeah, there's no strong emphasis on economics in the program. It's really balanced between the three disciplines: philosophy, politics, and economics. And once again, the program is open for BA graduates from all disciplines. And we promise to prepare you for this interdisciplinary PPE discourse by putting you through introductory classes. So at the very beginning of the program, you would have introductory classes into microeconomics and macroeconomics. We teach this in a very down-to-earth way, with not really an emphasis on mathematics, but on introducing you into the style of economic thinking and how it differs from ideal typical thinking styles in political science and philosophy. So you don't need to worry about lacking prerequisites in economics. The other question, are electives open to everyone? The answer is it depends. I personally also always tell my students, everyone is warmly invited to come into my electives. Students enjoy a lot of freedom at Witten, and I'm always sure that students who are not able to follow because they don't have the basic knowledge to enjoy my class will find out for themselves and just stay out of the class. But there are colleagues who say, no, in order to do some advanced class, you should have gone through the introductory class. It's a individual decision of our academic teachers? Thanks for the questions.
Thank you very much for the answer. And thank you also, Benjamin, for participating in the written Q&A. And finally, 2 questions to Mariana. So first one was about the path. You mentioned 3, and is it only one that should be selected? Can it be exchanged? Do you have deadlines for that? And the second question also came before the webinar, was about the internship, about the fixed internship. Do you have like cases when people don't manage to exactly start in June and finish the internship in August? Because some are required to like some have shorter or longer internships, and should it be only in Germany or not?
Okay, thanks. So to start, you have to choose one of the concentration areas out of the 3 that I showed, but you can try to, maybe if you're interested in another concentration, to do that course as an elective in your 2nd year. So there's a possibility to kind of make your own curriculum on the 2nd year, but you have to choose one, and your degree will come out with that specialization. And about the internships, I don't think we had any cases of students not being able to do it, and it's fine if you can't start in June. There's a minimum requirement of 6 weeks. I said 3 months because it's usually 3 months, but there's a minimum requirement of 6 weeks. So as long as you meet at least the minimum requirement, it's fine if you started maybe in July. You must be back in Berlin by September for the beginning of your 2nd year. And am I missing something of the question?
No, so only about the specializations. Is it possible to switch? So maybe you start. No. Okay.
Unfortunately,
All
it's
right.
not.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also it's already master's degree, so you probably already know what you want to study and concentrate on. All right, thank you. I still see some open questions, but I believe they are broader or non-directly connected to today's session, because one is about PhD, another is about criminology. Dear attendees, for those, you are welcome to join our general webinars when we cover different topics, and we can also discuss your questions about programs in criminal justice and others. As for scholarships and application requirements, as mentioned, I will send a follow-up email to you in 1 week, where you will see all the details were already shared and in quite detail by our guests, but I will also do a short recap of that and then share with you once again. So, all right, then with this, I would like to first of all thank our guests for their time and contribution. Thank you very much for being here.